lot of guy at the plate in a one-run game. I mean, that could have been the game had he not thrown him out. It would have still had a one-run deficit. So, defense, like I told you before the game, he's playing Golden Glove defense, and his throwing has been outstanding. And sometime as a slugger or a hitter, that comes to the forefront, and most people never talk about, the defense. They don't talk about the defense of Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, any of those guys. All they talk about is the hitting part. But, offense wins the game, and defense saves the game.
Second row, Adam.
How much do you think defense kept you in that game yesterday, and how much do you attribute that to the success this team has had the last couple of years?
Well, yeah, I mean, you only have 27 outs in a game. You start giving away outs, either through errors or not turning double plays or things. Now you're possibly playing 30 outs versus 27. You can't give away outs and expect to win over a long period of time. And like I said, I remember the Moses Malone commercial when he didn't say a word. He just was rebounding. And he says, "Hey, you can't score if you don't have the ball." You guys remember that commercial? And that's true. You don't remember that commercial? Oh, yeah. And everybody talks about scoring, but very few talk about rebounds. And rebounding is part of defense in basketball, and defense is huge in baseball. I mean, I've always had great defensive teams because it's hard to play on my team on a regular basis and play bad defense. You might drive in 3, but you're going to let in 4, either directly or indirectly, and so that's a deficit. So, I mean, you play on my team for an extended period of time, you got to play defense.
Good, Brian.
What changes do you expect to your lineup in Game 2, specifically in center field? Is there a chance that Myers could get in there?
Yeah, I think I said that yesterday or the day before. Yeah. I think that Myers has probably the best chance of hitting Castillo. And then later in the game, I might do something else, to try to, I put the best lineup offensively and defensively that I can on a daily basis, and it changes without having a everyday center fielder similar to what I've been doing all year.
The second row, Christy.
Hey, Dusty, how much do you feel like momentum plays a part in series like this? And do you think not only having a win, but having such a dramatic win can help build momentum for you guys?
Well, I think it helps, but momentum can be extended or stopped by who's pitching against you and who's pitching for you. So it starts over. Momentum starts. I mean, I think you can have a bigger downer effect from day to day than you can a momentum effect. And but what games like that do, it excites the fans, it excites us. There was a very positive vibe going on in the stadium. Notice that nobody left, you know what I mean? And like I was speaking about the other day when I was with the Dodgers, that it transcends from top to bottom, to the fans, to the office workers, to the janitors, to everybody in the organization, that this trying to think positive about an outcome of the game. And that was probably one of the best games that I've witnessed in my life yesterday, not only because of the outcome, but because of the energy that was in this building. And that was, I think, it shows the importance of home field advantage, that our best record, that's one of the first times that our best record, showed its head, because, we opened at home. And, in a short series, and that was big. I got to commend my team, because that's what we wanted to have throughout this series.
The third row just left of center there.
Hey, Dusty, I've got two for you potentially. But given how Verlander pitched last night, if you do get to the point where there is a game 4, are you less inclined to potentially bring him back, even though he would be on regular rest?
I'm more inclined to bring him back because the chance of him having 2 bad outings is rare. So, and I like to get a guy right back on the horse right away. I mean, because you sit him out, the longer you sit him out, the longer they have to think about it. And so, no, I wish I could start it tomorrow, to tell you the truth.
And then with respect to Javier, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, the days off help you in that last night. You
Mm-hmm.
probably felt more comfortable putting him out there in that situation. But how do you envision, what do you think of what he did last night, and how do you envision, you know, using him in these next few
Yeah, he
weeks?
was good. I mean, he was very good. It's just that Suarez hit a good pitch out of the ballpark. I mean, sometimes you got to give the hitter some credit. Sometimes, you know, every home run I hit wasn't a mistake. Everybody thinks it's a mistake, but sometimes you got to give me a little credit for being able to hit, or hitting the pitch. It's not always the fault of the pitcher. So sometimes, yeah, you know, he needed some work. You know, he slated. You know, excuse me, I got him. No, I didn't. You know, he's slated to go. You know, he's going to pitch. You know, when we think he should, we're going to try to keep guys on regular rest because they already were on irregular rest coming into this series starting yesterday. And so the more irregular rest you get, the less chance you have to get them back in the sync.
Go in the back right, JP.
Thanks, Dusty. Good morning.
Yes.
Curious about Pena's day overall yesterday.
Mhm.
He strikes out his first at-bat, and it seemed like his plate appearances got progressively better as the day went along. What did you see from him in general, and then certainly in the ninth inning and the approach he took
Well, I
there?
think all the at-bats got generally better as the day went on. I mean, I could see through Verlander, I can see through our at-bats early, I could see through some of the guys that, you know, it doesn't take long to lose your stroke. I mean, I was told by a trainer a long time ago that within a couple of days you start losing some of your timing and some of your edge, and so things got progressively better, which is one reason why we're having a workout today, because we just got some of this back, and then you could potentially lose it today and then start all over again tomorrow and then lose it again on Friday and start back all over again, where I could tell that that the Mariners are much sharper in their timing than we were, and so I feel very fortunate that we won that game last night.
Go to Marley, back middle.
Dusty, can you pinpoint, or maybe just for yourself, one of the moments yesterday that you felt that this team was not panicking, that there was a moment where you guys could come back even though you were down 4 runs most of the game? Was there a particular unsung hero, unsung moment that you can pinpoint that you say that was, you know, kind of representative of how your team approached the game last night or yesterday?
That's a good question. I think Bregman's home run probably got us back into, you know, I believe in staying within slam reach or putting the opposition out of slam reach at that 5th run versus, I mean, the chances of a slam are slim, but, you know, anybody here play backgammon back in the days, you stay off the 6th spot. You know what I mean? Right? You played backgammon back in the day? Never? Yeah. And so there's certain points that you try to get to or stay away from. The one thing that I didn't like was when they started adding on runs. You know, they add on 1, then they add on. But like I always say, if we can win the 7th, 8th, and 9th, we got a chance to win the game or either, you know, get back in the game, which happened yesterday.
Go in the middle.
Dusty, with regards to Jake Myers, I know he's struggled since returning from the injury, but he seemed to hit a stride down the stretch in the season. What are your expectations for him in the postseason? What do you want to see from him most of all?
You know, I want to see him playing good defense. taking charge, not being apprehensive about anything, also and getting some hits and getting on base. And so, you know, I think we called him up too soon earlier in the season because he wasn't ready. But his deadline for his rehab assignment of 21 days, whatever it was, that was up. And so had to send him back. Sometimes you got to go backwards to go forwards. And so hopefully, you know, he can do something.
So Brian.
I wanted to ask you about Joe Espada. Just how much has he helped you the last few years, and what do you think of his, I guess, credentials to be a future big league manager?
Well, I mean, Joe's a, you know, very astute baseball man, very good worker. You know, he does his homework. He's prepared. He's, you know, I don't have a very long tree of, like Belichick has, of guys that, you know, were coaches underneath him that, so, you know, he's been under Ozzie Guillen, you know, he's under H.A., you know, he worked with me, and so he's had some me excluded, but he's had some, you know, some very good teachers to learn from on what to do and sometimes what not to do. And so, yeah, I mean, whether he's ready or not, I mean, they told me I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? When I first took the job, and then won 103 games the first year. So, was I ready or not ready? You know, so you don't know. You know, if you're ready until you get there. But you know, whatever happens, I mean, you gotta have your first at some point in time.
On the front row here.
Dusty, Trey's been struggling a little bit. I talked with him about changing some of his mechanics recently. What's your evaluation of where he's at right now and what he can contribute?
Well, I mean, I've talked to him too. We've all talked to him, and you know, sometimes he's a bit of a worrier, which doesn't help. You have to, you know, you have to, like Ted Williams said, above all, you have to be natural, and sometimes you get away and lose what natural is, and so. You know, we certainly need him, and so I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to play him in a situation where you know, he'll help us, and so we're all pulling for him. I mean, big time. I mean, look at Yuli. He was struggling too. You know, a lot of people didn't want us to sit down Yuli, but Yuli, I believe in Yuli. I believe in my people. And then Yuli had a great day yesterday, which went under the radar. Nobody even, you know, paid attention to. And so, hopefully, you know, we can get him going too.
Go one more with JP in the
Yes.
back.
Thanks, Dusty. I'm just curious about Hensley and what you saw from him in spring training and how he's earned the spot on this roster for this series.
Well, I mean, you know, one of the best things that happened to me was a lockout because I got to spend time with the minor leaguers that over the past couple of years I didn't get to see them at all. Just read about them, see stats, but that's not enough for me. You know, you see a guy's work habits, you see his attitude, you see his concentration level, you see if he's serious about his job or if he's good time Charlie and messing around. There's a lot of things you can learn by just watching. And I liked his swing. There's a few things that I tried to help correct, I thought. And you know, he's a tough out, and that's quite a compliment, especially for a young player, especially in the era where strikeouts are accepted. You know, to be a tough out is you're making the pitcher work, and you got a better chance of doing something. And so, you know, he's probably one of the last spots on this team that was very that was talked about a lot. And I don't know.